The EThekwini municipality has convened a climate change workshop for residents and other stakeholders to discuss climate change and the impact on Kwazulu-Natal. Experts speak of global warming, sea level rises, as well as changes in weather patterns and increased natural disasters. While climate change may sound like something that might happen in the future, recent events confirm it is very real and a very real phenomenon, and its impacts are already being felt by cities all around the world. We now cross to our reporter, Jade Polser. Jade, good morning, and thank you so much for making time for us. Speak to us about the conversations that are underway.
Well, a very good morning. Yes, we are broadcasting live from the Albert Lutuli International Convention Center here in Durban, where the mayoral climate change workshop is currently taking place with several stakeholders as well as members of EThekwini municipality, just looking at mitigating factors. And this is the backdrop of severe weather that we've been experiencing in Durban. We had a tornado on Tuesday. It's quite ironic that this climate change workshop is taking place, but it has put the spotlight on what's currently unfolding with regards to global warming and climate change. And with EThekwini experiencing severe flooding, it is the right time to talk about what we can do to ensure communities that are living in low-lying areas not being affected by climate change. Well, I am joined by Dr. Sean O'Donoghue. He is the Senior Manager at the Climate Change Adaptation Unit in EThekwini Municipality. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. O'Donoghue. I want to go straight into it. This climate change workshop, what is the importance of holding this workshop? And it's quite ironic that we're having this after we've had such severe weather and erratic weather over the course of this week.
No, thanks very much for inviting us here today, and it's beautiful to be here on this lovely, warm Durban winter's morning, normal weather, but we know that it's not always that way, and that's what Tuesday was another example of that, and our hearts go out to everyone that was affected by the floods and that mini tornado that we saw. So we know we've had a lot of these events that have happened over the last number of years in Durban, ranging from the massive floods in April to a lot of smaller scale floods and also intense localized storms. And every time it happens, it has an effect on the people of Durban and the infrastructure of Durban, and it sets us back with our development objectives. So when we met as the Climate Change Committee chaired by Mayor Mxolisi Kaunda on 21st of April, he said he wants to convene all stakeholders from Durban, the disability sector, the faith-based organizations, the youth, a whole bunch of different people, including industry, and come together to collectively understand what climate change means for us as a city and as a society, and then to understand what the city is doing to address climate change in the different sectors, and then finally to work towards developing a multi-stakeholder forum where we can engage together going forward.
What has the city learned from the last floods that we've experienced in terms of mitigating and adaptation and also spatial planning with regards to communities living in low-lying areas and close to rivers? Those are the communities and those are the members of the public who are generally affected when we have natural disasters. What is the city doing to enable them to either move to a safer location or to assist them?
Yeah, thanks. And that's a very difficult problem to deal with, because the people are there because of the proximity to employment and being able to get a livelihood, and nobody wants to be living on the bank of a river where it's dangerous. And you know, in the communities that we've worked with, people understand the risks that they face living there, but they weigh it against the ability to make a living. So as a city, we need to work with communities where people are living in a place where it's not too dangerous. We can help them adapt, and we've gone through a number of we have an excellent project working with communities from informal settlements, working out how to make their dwellings more resilient to these impacts. But where people are dangerously located, it's not a right place to stay there, and we see that every time we have these dangerous floods. And the city has programs to try and help people move to housing that's safer and less prone to flooding.
You said the city has programs. You know, after the flooding, there was a webinar that the SABC we were privy to, and in that webinar, the EThekwini municipality spoke about possibly building houses on stilts to also raise homes, and also those were the houses that are really affected. I think there was an area close to a riverbank as well. Can you tell us more about that project?
Yes, that's one of our projects that we've had a long working relationship with the University of Kwazulu-Natal as a transdisciplinary research, and Professor Kathy Sutherland as the program leader has worked with these communities, and they are leaders from the communities that are participating in this project as in a shared governance approach. And Kathy worked with these residents to figure out what are solutions appropriate for informal settlement constructions. Stilts was one, sandbags was another, addressing heat was another, and Kathy Sutherland has put together this booklet on adaptation responses specific for that. Another outcome from the program was working with the communities to develop a disaster response specific for informal settlements, and now we're working with the disaster management unit to get it into the disaster management plan.
Lessons learned, Dr. O'Donoghue. Obviously, KwaZulu-Natal is most affected when it comes to natural disasters and flooding. We've seen it over the course of the years now, and it's only getting worse. Experts are saying that more needs to be done in also raising awareness with communities and linking the two, that these severe weather and erratic conditions are linked to global warming.
No, absolutely, and education and awareness is absolutely one of the most critical tools that we have in adapting to climate change, because we can put projects on the ground, but people don't understand what the risks are and that they don't know where the opportunities are for climate change, then the uptake is not going to be there. So we are busy uploading a climate portal onto our municipal website that will be a one-stop shop for all things climate change related, and that will be on the city's strategic hub. So anyone can go onto the strategic hub now. You can just look for strategic hub, EThekwini municipality, and there's a whole dashboard of different key statistics for climate change, for generally the city's operations. Climate change will be uploaded within the next couple of weeks, and that'll be a live dashboard on how we monitor implementation of the Durban climate change plan.
Bringing it back to the workshop, what do we expect to come out? Some of the discussions that will be held here, or themes?
Well, that's quite a nice segue from the previous question, because we have the Climate Change Committee chaired by our Mayor Mxolisi Kaunda, and at that last meeting when our Mayor instructed us to meet today, one of his key aims for today was to bring different stakeholders from the different parts of EThekwini society into this committee, and so it becomes a multi-stakeholder forum for decision making, and that then prepares us for the Climate Change Act once it's promulgated, because there's a requirement for that very thing in the Act.
Well, thank you very much for your time, Dr. Sean O'Donoghue, speaking to us about the workshop that's currently taking place, a climate workshop, mayoral climate workshop here in EThekwini municipality, also talking to us about some of the stakeholders that are here. It's going to be running until the end of the day, where several discussions will be made, and this is at the backdrop of the severe weather conditions that EThekwini has been experiencing. It's back to you in studio.